Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 18, the perfection of renunciation, and conclusion also called Moksha Sannyas Yoga. Okay, so we finished the first 4 subsections: freedom from bondage through Karma Yoga, the 5 factors of action, the modes control all activities and all beings, purification through prescribed duties of varnashram, and today we'll take up the next 3. We'll try and finish. Brahman platform, which is confidential knowledge, then pure bhakti, acting in Krishna consciousness, and then the conclusion. Okay, so this is what we did last time: purification through prescribed duties of varnashram. And here we see from the 19th till the 66th verse is the yoga ladder. 19 to 40th, karma, modes control all activities. 41st to 48th, sakam, karma to nishkama karma yoga. 49 to 55th verse, nishkama through liberation, and then coming to devotional service. 56 to 60th, working in pure devotional service. 61 to 63, more confidential knowledge, and then 64 to 66, most confidential knowledge, which is become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So we are beginning from the 49th verse. We'll go on to the 55th, which where the section in which Krishna talks about one practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga, detached work, attains goodness and the knowledge that he is not his body. He finally attains the Brahman platform, and then by serving Krishna on this platform with devotion, one reaches the kingdom of God. So, anticipating the question, how can one in doing work get only the good out of it, rejecting the evil part? And then Krishna speaks. This is 18.49. Asatta buddhi sarvatra jitatma vigata spriha nishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena adhigacchati.
One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is, according to Baldev Vidyabhushan, from Aru Rukshu to Arudha stage. Remember, from the stage of practice to the stage of perfection. What is the qualification? Asakta buddhi. His intelligence is unattached to all things except Atma, because his mind is under control from tasting the bliss of Atman. Vigata Spriha, he is devoid of desire from varieties of happiness derived from objects rather than the Atman. No desire even from or Brahmaloka. One attains perfection at this stage of Nishkarmam. The manner in which such a Paramahansa attains the state of Brahman through steadfastness in knowledge is being stated in the next 6 verses. 18.50. Siddhim prapto yata brahma tathapnoti nibodhame samaseneva konteya nishtha jnanasya yapara. Somebody wants to read the translation?
O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Lord will describe the following process: worshipping Hari by prescribed action, consequently attainment of renunciation of all actions, attainment of meditation on Atma through the mercy of the Lord, realizing one's Swarupa with the 8 qualities. So this is from practice to perfection. Let's keep going. Lord Krishna is now going to summarize how one can achieve supreme perfection stage, which is Brahman. Hmm. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayam styaktva ragadvesho vyudasya cha vivikta sevi lagpashi yata vakaya manasa dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashrita ahamkaram balam darpam kamam krodham parikraham vimuchya nirmamam shanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance, and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And so let's look at word by word what Krishna is telling us, the process of attaining yoga arudha stage from practice. So we'll look at what Prabhupada is saying. Vishuddhaya buddhya, when one is purified by intelligence, he keeps himself in mode of goodness. Dhritya, one becomes the controller of the mind and is always in trance. Ragadvesha vyudhasya, free from attachment and hatred in his activities, and then not attached to the objects of sense gratification, which leads to Vivikta Sevi, naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. Then he does not eat more than what he requires. Then he controls the activities of his body and mind. No false ego, because he does not accept the body as himself. He has no desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things, which is balam, and then darpam, because there's no bodily concept. He's not falsely proud. He doesn't endeavor to acquire sense objects, which is kamam, and then krodham, never angry in the absence of sense gratification. And then when he's completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things, nirmama. So here we see in this chart, controlling the mind with determination, purified by intelligence, giving up sense objects, freedom from attachment and hatred. A person who is not disturbed by incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is even being filled but is always still. This is from 2.70. Always in trance and detached, thus one achieves supreme peace, freedom from all bad qualities born of material conceptions, eats little and controls his body, mind, and power of speech, and he lives in a secluded place. Okay, let's keep going. The result of being steady in the state of Brahman is being stated now. 18.54, which is also one of the verses that are there for memorization. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says, let's read the first few lines in the purport. To the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who's engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute One cannot render service unto him. So, what is this Brahmabhuta stage attained by the devotee? Prasannatma, material sense gratification leads to misery, but when we are engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. Since God is full, living entity engaged in his service becomes full in himself, like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Okay. Because the pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. Na shochati, na kankshati, he has nothing to lament or desire for because he is full in the service of the Lord. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain. No desire for material enjoyment because he knows that every living entity is eternally a servant of the Lord, being his part and parcel. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu doesn't see someone as low or high. Both positions are imperil for him. For him, stone and gold are equal value. Looking at this picture, do you remember which verse this can be from the Bhagavad Gita?
No,
518. No?
no, it is
18. What is the verse?
Vidya Vinaya Sampanna.
Vidya Vinaya Sampanna,
Brahma.
Pandita
Pandita
Dashini.
5.18.
Who can recite the whole verse?
Vidya Vinaya Sampanna,
ब्राह्मणे
Pandita
गव्यहस्तिनि शुनि चैव
Brahman.
श्लोके च पंडिता समदर्शिनः.
Pandita Samadarshina.
Okay, so here we see Brahmabhuta stage. Brahmabhuta, one who is transcendently situated, is Prasannatma, fully joyful. Nashochati, Nakamshati, never laments or desires to have anything. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu, equally disposed towards every living entity. Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, then one attains pure devotional service unto me. Prabhupada says in the purport, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, last stage. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. After attaining bhakti, then what happens to that person is what Krishna will describe in the next verse. 18.55, also another verse for our memorization. Let's recite it. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tat anantaram. So
One
we
can
are-
understand.
Understand me
Sorry.
as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says in the purport, speculation cannot help. Bhakti alone is needed. So very clearly, Krishna is saying, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, only a devotee to understand me. Only a devotee can do that. So here, Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation or by non-devotees. So all this is from the purport. Erudite scholarship or mental speculation or university degrees fail to reveal absolute truth. Only way to know Krishna is pure devotional service. Under the guidance of a pure devotee, without devotional service, absolute truth is always hidden. So this is the eligibility to understand Krishna. How one's devotional service begins after achieving Brahmabhuta stage? By hearing from the Lord. What is the effect of hearing? Brahmabhuta stage, it develops. Material contamination decreases, one can understand the Supreme Lord. And what is the eligibility to enter Lord's abode? One who is fully conversant with the science of Krishna. Okay, so hearing about the Lord, automatically one develops the Brahmabhuta stage. Then disappearance of greed and lust happens, more attachment to the Lord's service, becomes free from material contamination, can understand the Supreme Lord in that state of life. So the 4 categories of Gyanis are also mentioned. Let's see. Gyanis without bhakti, then there is only suffering. which is most heavily condemned. Gyan Mishra Bhaktas, considering Lord's form as false, they fall down. They are also condemned. Gyan Mishra Bhaktas, also accepting Sachidanand form of the Lord, they attain Sayujya Mukti, which is praiseworthy. Above category, giving up jnana, taking exclusively to bhakti because of gaining the association of devotees, which is the ultimate destination back to Godhead, which is most praiseworthy, attained by Sukadev Goswami from jnana to bhakti. Jnanis without bhakti, what if jnanis desiring Sayujya don't practice bhakti at all? They obtain only suffering as their fruit. Klesha eva shishyate. Most heavily condemned. Okay, these are details. Let's keep going. Next presentation. From the 56th verse onwards. Let's recite the verse. Sarva karmanyaphi sada kurbano madvyapashrayah matprasad avapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam.
Though engaged in all kinds of activities by pure devotee, under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says in the purport, the word mat vyapashraya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the Supreme Master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. So we just read the purport. Let's keep going. Next section is working in pure devotional service. One on the platform of devotion should work under the order of the Lord, fully depending on Him and being fully conscious of Him. One will thus be free from the control of the modes of material nature. 57th verse. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya matchitta satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Okay, what should be the mood of a servant? Act fully under the direction of the Lord, no individual independence, unaffected by profit and loss, acts only on behalf of the Master, discharge his duty faithfully. How to exhibit that mood towards Krishna in his absence? Act according to Bhagavad Gita. So one might say Arjun was there, he was directly instructed by Krishna and he could act in that way, what Krishna was instructing. But what about us? We should be acting in accordance to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's direction, act under the guidance of Krishna's representative, which is Guru or a pure devotee, doing something whimsical and offering the result to Krishna. This is how people misuse concept of devotional service. One must act only according to the order of Krishna, which comes through disciplined succession. Prime duty of life is spiritual master's order. One has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. So this is devotee's mood of dependence. In all activities, just depend upon me. Work always under my protection in such devotional service. Be fully conscious of me. So Prabhupada says in the purport, this is the mood of a servitor, not acting as the master of the world, just like a servant, only in the mood, in the on the order of the master, no individual independence, unaffected by profit or loss. Servant is unconcerned about it. He simply discharges his duty faithfully. Madhpara, no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. We read all of that earlier. Let's keep going. 18.58. Machchitta sarva durgani madprasadat patarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaram na shushyasi vinangshasi.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through the false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Hare Krishna.
Again and again, our acharyas teach us there's only two concepts in us through our scriptures that we should remember. Always remember Krishna, and the second one?
Never
Forget Krishna.
So this is what Krishna is saying, telling us directly, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, meaning if you forget me, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Prabhupada says in the purport, the glory of being engaged in full Krishna consciousness, Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friends' comfort, and he gives himself to his friend who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Baldev Vidyabhushan says, I, the friend of my devotee, will remove all of those sufferings and I will give myself to that devotee. One acting in Krishna consciousness is liberated, free from material perplexities. One is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. He is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. What should one be careful of? Not being carried away by false ego, bodily concept of life, not thinking oneself free to act independent of laws of nature. Reality, only Krishna knows. There exists no one other than I or Krishna among living beings who knows what is to be done and what is not to be done, who knows what is beneficial, sasta, who is in a position of lawgiver to them, or result of not listening. He's losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death, can never have freedom from all anxiety, which a person in Krishna consciousness has. He will be deviated from his goal. So one who doesn't listen to what Krishna is saying, he is deviated, he's lost, and he can never have freedom from all anxiety. That's 18.59. Yet ahankaram ashritya nayotsya iti manyase mityaisya vyavasayaste prakritish tvam niyokshati.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada says, there's influence of false ego, thinking oneself to be the master. Arjuna was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reactions due to false ego. He was thinking as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work, forgetting instructions of the Lord or the Guru. Arjuna forgot that Krishna is instructing him what to do and what not to do. And Prabhupada says, what is the solution? Simply act in Krishna consciousness, take directions from the Lord to attain perfection. No one can ascertain one's destiny as the Lord. Don't neglect the order of Supreme Lord or the spiritual master. Act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Lord. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. So Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, we have to take instructions to be on the right path. 18.60. Swabhavajena kanteya nipaddha swena karmana kartum nechasi yanmohat karishyasi karishyasya vashopi tat.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work, born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. Okay, so the next section is more confidential knowledge, which is surrendering to the super soul. 61st to the 63rd verse. More confidential knowledge than the knowledge that one is spirit soul is knowledge that one should surrender to the super soul. So first was knowledge of the soul, then now is the knowledge of the super soul. 18.61. Also a verse for our memorization. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriteshe Arjun tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Hare Krishna.
So let's look at the purport. Prabhupada says, Arjun was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. We have also seen, just recently, I think this last Wednesday when I had service, early morning, I had to go for Abhishek and dressing. I put the alarm for a certain time to get up, and then there's also snooze, right? So when you get up, you put it on snooze, okay, 1 or 2 more minutes, I'll get up. Somehow I didn't get up. And when I got up, it was so late. Like I had time, but just enough to take a 1-minute shower, get ready, and leave. So I was thinking, alarm didn't ring, then who woke me up? If I didn't wake up at that time, also, I would have been so late, right? So there is the super soul within us who helps sometimes, mostly to the one who, to me, very rarely, but mostly to the one who is pure, like he has through his devotion, he or she, through his devotional service, has cleansed his heart, and Krishna is right there, always directing and always helping such a devotee. Prabhupada says the witness remains the witness of his activities, although a living being may forget his past, present, and future. Krishna is also the director as the super soul. As soon as the living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. Super soul directs these activities. Just like a bird, right? How does it know how to fly? How does it know that forming that V when they're flying, right? They form that V, and that's how they gain speed. So how do they know all of that? It is the super soul within the heart who is directing. By his own Shakti or Maya, he makes all living entities from Brahma to the non-living creatures engage in their respective actions. Sorry, non-moving. No. Person in a faster motor car goes fast than one in a slower car, though the drivers or the living entities may be the same. Similarly, the material nature fashions a body for the soul to move according to his desires by the order of the Supreme Soul. So one is always dependent under Lord's control. 18.62. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapyasi shashvatam.
O
section
son
of
of
Bharata.
Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada says, ultimate destination through surrender. By surrender in his life, one will be released from all miseries in this life. At the end, one will reach the Supreme Lord. We're going to keep going. Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyataram maya vimshrishchetad asheshena yatechasi tatha kuru.
Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So independence. Today's Independence Day in India.
Wonderful. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahmabhuta. One who is in the Brahmabhuta condition is joyful. He never laments nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also discloses knowledge of the Supersoul. This is also Brahman knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here the word yatechasi tathakuru, as you like, you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the Supersoul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the Supersoul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So we just read all of that. 18.64. Sarva guyatamam bhuya shrinu me paramam vacha ishto si me dhradam iti tato vakshyami te hitam.
Because you're my very dear friend and speaking to you, my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all, hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Hare Krishna.
So the most confidential knowledge of Brahman is confidential, knowledge of Paramatma is more confidential. And now Krishna will start giving the knowledge of Bhagavan, which is most confidential. That is again being given to you. Just surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before that also Krishna spoke in 9.34 Manmana, and that is coming again. It is already spoken and I'm going to speak again. Why is Krishna repeating? Repeated again to stress the teachings. And because it is very dear to me, I will speak it again. So Prabhupada says, and then Bhakti Bhushan also speaks about why Krishna is repeating. One is to lay stress on the teaching. And second, because this teaching is very dear to Krishna, he is repeating it to Arjuna. essence is not understood by a common man, but by one who is actually very dear to Krishna. This is not only for Arjuna, but for all living entities. What kind of secret is this? This knowledge is more secret than 18.62, which was more secret than knowledge of karma, jnana, yoga. There is no secret greater than this in any place, from any cause, by any means. This is the essence of Gita, which is the essence of the meaning of all scriptures. Why is Krishna speaking this to Arjuna? Because you are my very dear friend. I speak for your benefit. So the teaching is also beneficial according to Baldev Vidyabhushan, and Arjuna is also very special. Very dear friend, I am speaking it for your benefit. Without having such friendship, no one speaks most confidential topic. You are the dearest to me. You have faith that my words possess all authority. So 64 to 66, always think of Krishna, become Krishna's devotee, worship Krishna, offer all homage unto Krishna, and thus come to Krishna, and then surrender to Krishna. Do not fear any sinful reactions. So this is from 64 to 66. Again, Guya was confidential, which was knowledge of Brahman. Then Guyatara, more confidential, knowledge of the Super Soul. Guyatama is most confidential, just surrender to the Lord. And Bhuya means again, which Krishna just said, I am speaking to you again, Sarva Bhuyatamam Bhuya. So Bhuyatamam, most confidential. And Bhuya means again. Manmana is repeated twice, once in 1934, and now he's going to repeat in 1865. Who can understand? Only by the one who's very dear to Krishna. This knowledge is not only for Arjuna, but for all living entities. So the most confidential knowledge, this verse is repeated twice with few words here and there, changes, but 9.34. And this verse, almost exactly the same. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te parijane priyoshime.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my dear, very dear friend. Hare Krishna.
The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. So this reminds me, a very close friend of mine who is a disciple of Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and she once approached him and asked Maharaj any instructions for me, and Maharaj told her, become a pure devotee of Krishna. So this is Krishna's instruction also. Prabhupada is saying the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. So Manmana Bhav Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru is always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, and Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Parijane Priyoshime, thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Okay. Which form of the Lord should be focused? Devotee should concentrate the mind upon Krishna as per Brahma Samhita's description. That constitutes the most confidential part of the knowledge. Brahma Samhita, especially the first 3 verses that we recite or we sing every morning. Darshanarti, Kamlavati Mataji, that reminds me of you. Every morning she's at the temple for Darshanarti. She lives really close to the temple, which is such a benediction. And except for Saturday, where we have a class, she's there every morning for Darshanarti. So she will tell us what verses are those, Mataji, or even one verse, Brahma Samhita, which we sing for Darshanarti.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Are you talking about this, Mataji? That's
She's also a very good singer. Thank you, Mataji. Not even divert one's attention to other forms of the Lord like Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, etc. So this is from the purport where Prabhupada says the Lord has multi forms as Vishnu, Narayan, Ram, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. Okay, we're going to keep going. This example is here. Let's read this. Okay, let's have somebody read this. You can unmute and read this.
Only God with a mother's heart should peel off the outer skin. We have to look to God for our liberation from bondage and ignorance. He is responsible for all that happens in our lives. Piles and piles of action, devoid of devotion, are inert and inconsequential. Reference Bhagavad Gita 18.66. All ungodly acts and those which do not take us towards God are useless. We should give them up. Only godly acts should be performed. That is the meaning of the phrase that all ways should be avoided. Or we may even interpret it to mean that
We should give up the desire for the fruit.
the screen is not visible. The last line I could not see, Mother.
Or we may even interpret it to mean that we should give up the desire for the fruit.
18.11.
So let's keep going. These are also two verses which will come in the verse memorization, 65 and 66. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shucha.
abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Parityaja doesn't mean sannyas because Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he wasn't qualified for sannyas. Or Lord didn't tell all people other than Kshatriyas to take sannyas because Arjuna was qualified to be instructed by the Lord, which could not be taught to others. Or it doesn't mean to merely give up all the results of activities, and Pari means to completely. So Parityaja, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Sarva dharman parityaja. What Krishna means by saying abandon all varieties of religion is that Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Now he recommends to give up all that and simply surrender. So give up what? Give up karma yoga, give up jnana yoga, give up dhyana yoga, and just surrender, take up bhakti yoga. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Surrender all the devotees of Sri Vrindavan Dham. How surrender will save oneself? Lord personally promises to protect from all kinds of sinful reactions. No need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. Just process of surrender will automatically free one from all reactions. Although in 7.28, where demands freedom from all sin to understand Krishna. So coming from, we always talk about how Bhagavad Gita is moving in a helix-like fashion. Krishna gives information and he repeats it, but he adds more onto it. So coming from the stage where giving up all sin through our karma, through nishkama karma, and then attaining jnana. Through attaining jnana, one comes to the platform of devotional service. Mashucha means do not fear or hesitate. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. I remember my own house, I had the whole, just like in a Hindu temple, right? You go, you have all different various demigods, and Krishna also is there. In one corner of my little temple that I had, Krishna was in one corner. In the middle was Lakshmi Ji, which we had brought from the only deity form we had brought from India. And then I had Ganesh Ji, Shiv Ji, everybody was there. Krishna was in one corner. And this Krishna also, we got my Prabhu, he went to this store in US, TJ Maxx. Most of you who live here, you would know, right? So he found this little Krishna in TJ Maxx and he brought home. This was in New York when we were there for 1 year. And I was like, oh, where did you get Krishna from? He said, from this store. And we were amazed. Beautiful brass deity. And we placed him in one corner, and then slowly, Ganesh Ji also came, and everybody was right there as one big family. Then when I started going to the temple, understanding how Krishna is the supreme, I didn't still have the courage to remove all of them and have only Krishna. So what I did was I brought a little box kind of thing, covered it with a nice cloth, and put Krishna in that, that asan above, and all the others were below him. So that in my mind, okay, Krishna is the greatest and he's the supreme, but others are also there who I cannot just suddenly stop worshipping. So from that stage of having everyone and Krishna in one side, I brought Krishna in the center and everyone around him and below him. And then finally, everybody, all the other, devatas, when Gaurnitai came, wonderful devotee, Prabhupada's disciple's wife, she brought Gaurnitai from Mayapur. So when they came, then all the others went, and then I got little, it was this was gift, I think, from my brother, was Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, but on one little, which you can't say, like carved on one little thingy. So I brought them also, and Gaurnitai on one side, Krishna above, and then all the others went away. They're still there behind, like in the altar, but behind in one shelf, you cannot see, they're all hidden. I don't know what to do with them, but they're there. And then
Mother, they say just float them in water. Holy water.
Flowing water?
Yes.
Okay.
River.
I'll do that. Thank you.
That's
Then a
what they
friend
were
of mine,
advising.
and then one friend of mine, she was bringing Radha Krishna deity at home, and she said, I want to gift to you also. Beautiful, beautiful marble deity she wanted to get from Jaipur. I said, so it's a big story, whatever. So, but finally, Radha Krishna, also after second initiation, our temple president said, okay, now it's okay to have Radha Krishna deity at home and to worship them after you get second initiation. Okay, so yeah, that just reminded me of how Krishna is saying, Mashucha, do not fear or hesitate. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender into Krishna, but such worry is useless. Okay, so the confidential knowledge is knowledge of Brahman, then more confidential is of Paramatma, most confidential is to Bhagavan, which is Sri Krishna. And these are verses from the Bhagavatam. You can look at them later. We are going to keep going. Okay, so this is one of the homework questions, 6 elements of surrender, which is anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam rakshishati iti vishvaso guptatve varanam tatha atma nikshepa karparne shadvidha sharanagati, which is from the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.676, and this is from Padma Puran. So 6 elements of surrender. Our question would be 6 symptoms of surrender. What are the 6 symptoms of surrender? And this is what it is. Anukulasya Sankalpa, which is simply accept such religious principles that are favorable to devotional service. We can write a little bit explanation also for each of these 6 elements. Then Pratikulasya Varjana, which is avoid or reject anything unfavorable. So Anukulasya is accept everything that is favorable in Krishna Bhakti. Pratikulasya Varjana is reject anything which is unfavorable to devotional service. Rakshishyatiti Vishwasa, which is confidence in Krishna's protection in all circumstances. Gotripve Varanam, to have firm faith that Krishna is our only maintainer. No need of thinking how to keep body and soul together. Atma Nikshepa, which is full surrender, self-surrender, sacrificing everything for the Lord. And Karpane, thinking oneself to be humble and meek, which was humility. So here is a little more details about all of these 6. Maybe we can go through this. So Anukulasya Sankalpa, conduct which is pleasing to the Lord and according to the scriptures. Prabhupada says, if by doing something one doesn't come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, it is Shamaevahi Kevalam. Pratikulasya Varjanam, which is the opposite. Anything that doesn't lead to perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. Goptatve Varana is to think of the Lord and no one else as one's protector. Prabhupada says, no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. Rakshishyati iti Vishwasa, which is faith that in times when one's own existence is threatened, the Lord will give protection. Example is Gajendra or Draupadi. Where it is our temple president, I learned this from him. He always says that to ask for anything else except that loving devotional service unto you, O Krishna, is material. But at the time the life is threatened, we can and we should ask Krishna for help. So this is unhesitatingly accept Krishna as our savior. Faith that in all times, this is what it was. Then when the life is threatened, our own existence is threatened, Krishna will give protection. And then employment of one's gross and subtle bodies for Krishna's service, Atma Nikshepa, and then Karpanya, as one should not make a show of one's own humility, which is such a profound meaning. We always think Karpanya is just be humble, just be meek, but also don't make a show of your own humility. One time, one of our God brothers, he went to Guru Maharaj and he said, kindly bless me, Maharaj, that I always remain humble. And Maharaj said, first become humble, then talk about remaining humble. So if we go and say, give me blessings that I always remain humble, means that I am humble, and bless me that I always remain humble. So Maharaj got that and he said, no, first become humble, then talk about remaining humble. Okay, Atma Nikshepa is to have no independence from the Lord. Whatever he orders, I do. Give me 1 second. We have a call from the temple once.
Mataji, we cannot hear Mataji. Achha,
Mataji
yes.
from the phone.
She has not attended the
Okay,
phone.
okay.
Call from the temple.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yes, I muted myself, Prabhu. There was a call from the temple. Let's keep going. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about the fruit of surrender. I will free you from sinful reactions, from whatever reactions exist from the far past and recent past, past lives, and from this life also. Also from whatever reactions arise from acts I will make, you will perform in the future also. So even the acts that I will be performing in the future, the sinful reactions that I might incur, those also are taken care by Krishna. The destruction of avidya also, the cause of conditioned jiva. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. I only can do it. This is not impossible for me to do, though it cannot be done by anyone else to whom you surrender. Come to the last presentation. We have time, right? Yes, we have time. Okay, so this is from the last section, which is the conclusion, 67 to the 78th verse. One who explains this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to austere, non-envious devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. Those who study Bhagavad Gita worship Krishna without their intelligence, with their intelligence, and faithful and non-envious hearers become free from sinful actions. So this is 18.67. Idam tena tapaksha na tapakshaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushushave vakyam na cha mam yo bhyasuyati.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says, persons who have not undergone the austerities of the religious process, who have never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not tended a pure devotee, and especially those who are conscious of Krishna only as a historical personality or are envious of the greatness of Krishna, should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge. So Prabhupada has exactly told us who not to talk about this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to. So do not teach this knowledge to who are not austere, not devoted to Krishna, who are envious of Krishna, who have not gone through religious process, austerities of the religious process, who have not attempted in devotional service, okay, who have not tended to a pure devotee, and who take Krishna as a historical personality only. So one might ask why not to tell them, and Prabhupada talks about how they are not qualified. And here is a wonderful example we can take. There is a king and he has so many sons, but one of the sons is mature and he is the king thinks he's qualified to know about the treasure. So he calls that son, not all of them, but only one of that son who is mature, and he says, don't tell your brothers about this treasure, nor tell your uncles about it. Your brothers are still immature and do not understand its true worth, and your uncles are envious of me. So two examples we see over here. People who are envious, we cannot tell them everything about us, right? And people who are not mature also, we cannot share our confidential things with them. Maybe we need some guidance. So who will we look at to take that guidance from? It'll be somebody who's mature, who's experienced, who can help us, and who's not envious of us. So similarly, here Krishna is telling Arjuna, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Okay, so in the purport, Prabhupada talks about various categories of persons who cannot understand Gita, professional commentators who are envious and explain Bhagavad Gita to make a business, those who are sensuous, even if not sensuous, but are strictly following the Vedic scriptural disciplines, but if he is not a devotee, he cannot understand Krishna. Even if one poses himself as a devotee but not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, he cannot understand Krishna. Why different people envy Krishna? Because he's the supreme and nothing is above or equal to him. Who should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita envious, faithless, and those without understanding of Krishna from authority of a pure devotee? Okay, who should not be instructed? We spoke about all of that. Next one, 18.68. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvad abhidhashyati bhaktim mai param kritva mame vaishati samshayaha.
For one who explains this secret, supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, spoken by the perfect devotee here, who is trying to explain this secret to so many devotees. He's serving devotees, right? Taking them around parikrama and speaking about Krishna's glories in his dham. It's amazing, Prabhu. And Krishna brought this verse for you to speak. Really nice. So Prabhupada says, generally it is advised that Bhagavad Gita is discussed among the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for the philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada, we just read the purport, we can keep going. So one who teaches to Krishna's devotees gets pure devotional service and returns to Krishna. 18.69. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakrittamaha bhavitanam chame tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Okay. So no one is more dear servant to me than he who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, nor will there one be more dear. So this is glory of teaching the Bhagavad Gita. Also one of our homework questions. What is the glory of teaching Bhagavad Gita? One who teaches the supreme secret of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees will. This is the answer. Attain pure devotional service unto me, come back to me without doubt, become most dear to me. There is no servant in the world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear in the future. We'll watch this small video of Prabhupada, how he's the savior of the world, bringing Krishna consciousness to so many, and thus he went back to Godhead, also so dear to Krishna. Nobody else is more dear to him than pure devotee.
यह बालक 70 वर्ष की आयु में पश्चात देशों में जाकर कृष्ण भावनामृत का प्रचार करेगा और पूरे विश्व में 108 दिव्य मंदिरों का निर्माण करेगा।
भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की बहुत ही इच्छा थी कि पाश्चात्य देश में श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की वाणी अच्छी तरह से प्रचार हो।
अभय का जन्म एक गौड़ीय वैष्णव परिवार में हुआ था। बचपन से ही अभय के मन में भगवान के प्रति गहरी श्रद्धा और भक्ति थी। जब अभय के पिताजी भगवान की पूजा करते थे, तब अभय उनकी नकल किया करते थे। इसी प्रकार धीरे धीरे अभय के हृदय में भगवान के प्रति प्रेम और आस्था और भी दृढ़ होती चली गई।
हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे।
सन 1922 में अभय अपने एक मित्र के कहने पर पहली बार अपने गुरु भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर से मिले। पहले दर्शन में ही उनके गुरु ने उनसे पूछा, तुम पढ़े लिखे हो, तुम चैतन्य महाप्रभु की वाणी का प्रचार क्यों नहीं करते? यही तुम्हारा परम कर्तव्य है। अभय ने उत्तर दिया, हमारी बात कौन सुनेगा, जबकि देश का बच्चा, बूढ़ा और जवान सब देश को स्वतंत्र कराने में लगा हुआ है। उनके गुरु ने कहा, इस जगत की हर वस्तु अस्थायी है, केवल कृष्ण भक्ति ही नित्य सत्य है। यह सुनकर अभय को विश्वास हो गया कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु का मिशन सही हाथों में है, और उन्होंने उसी क्षण भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर को अपने गुरु रूप में स्वीकार कर लिया।
सन 1936 में मुझे एक पत्र लिखा, अंतर्ध्यान होने का 15 दिन पहले। देखो जी, तुम अंग्रेजी में प्रचार करो, इसमें तुम्हारा मंगल होगा और जगत का होगा।
अभय प्रतिदिन यह सोचते थे कि उनके गुरु के आदेश कैसे पूरे होंगे। सन 1944 में उन्होंने बैक टू गॉडहेड पत्रिका की शुरुआत की। उस पत्रिका में अभय ने लिखा कि मनुष्य के जीवन में जो संघर्ष है, उसका मूल कारण आध्यात्मिकता का अभाव है, और यही अभाव मानव के समस्त दुखों की जड़ है। अभय ने गुरु महाराज के आदेश को पूर्ण करने के लिए अथक प्रयास किए, किंतु उन्हें किसी भी प्रकार का प्रोत्साहन प्राप्त नहीं हुआ। अंततः उन्होंने संन्यास लेने का निर्णय किया और वे वृंदावन जाकर राधा दामोदर मंदिर में रहने लगे। संन्यास ग्रहण करने के बाद वे एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद नाम से जाने गए। संन्यास के बाद प्रभुपाद पूरी तरह अकेले हो गए। इतनी वृद्ध अवस्था में लेखन, भोजन बनाना और प्रचार सब कुछ अकेले करते थे। श्रील प्रभुपाद 70 वर्ष की आयु में प्रतिदिन सुबह भीड़ भरी ट्रेनों में वृंदावन से दिल्ली जाते थे, अपनी पत्रिका छपवाने के लिए। वे भारी कागज की बंडल स्वयं अपने सिर पर उठाकर प्रिंटर तक ले जाया करते थे। दिल्ली की 40 डिग्री सेल्सियस से भी भीषण गर्मी में गली गली जाकर पत्रिका बेचते थे। छपाई के लिए धन बचाने हेतु श्रील प्रभुपाद भोजन छोड़ दिया करते थे और कई बार उनके पास खाने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं होता था। एक दिन पत्रिका बेचते समय एक गाय ने उन्हें सींग मार दिया और वे कुछ समय तक सड़क के किनारे बेहोश पड़े रहे। प्रभुपाद के जीवन में अनेक बाधाएं और कठिनाइयां आईं, परंतु उन्होंने हर पीड़ा को भगवान की कृपा मानकर स्वीकार कर लिया। किंतु श्रील प्रभुपाद ने कभी हार नहीं मानी, क्योंकि यह उनकी नहीं, उनके गुरु की इच्छा थी।
और भगवान की प्रेरणा से मैं अमेरिका में जाने का विचार किया और उधर जाने के पहले भगवान की कृपा से भागवत का ऊपर अंग्रेजी टिप्पणी लिखने के शुरू की। राधा दामोदर संपूर्ण में मैं बैठ बैठ के लिखता था। इसी प्रकार जब 3 ग्रंथ 3 भाग भागवत की प्रस्तुत हो गया, in 1965 उस समय मैं बहुत मुश्किल से अमेरिका में गए।
जलदूत जहाज से यात्रा करते समय उन्हें 2 दिनों में 2 बार दिल का दौरा पड़ा।
यदि तीसरे दिन दिल का दौरा आता तो उनका प्राण जाना निश्चित था। किंतु भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने स्वप्न में प्रकट होकर उन्हें आश्वासन दिया। मेरे प्रिय भक्त, मैं हमेशा तुम्हारे साथ हूं। अब समय आ गया है। अब तुम्हें अपने गुरु के स्वप्न को साकार करना है। चिंता मत करो अब है। मैंने सब व्यवस्था पहले ही कर रखी है। तुम अमेरिका जाओ और देखो कैसे सब कुछ अपने आप ठीक होता चला जाएगा। अब केवल विश्राम करो, बाकी सब मैं संभाल लूंगा।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
प्रभुपाद एक छोटे से अपार्टमेंट में रहते थे। उन्हें यह तक नहीं पता था कि अगले महीने का किराया कैसे दें। और इसी बीच उनकी टाइपराइटर और टेप रिकॉर्डर चोरी हो गए, जिनके माध्यम से प्रचार करते थे। प्रभुपाद पूरी तरह टूट गए।
वे शिपिंग कंपनी तक ये जानने जाते थे कि भारत लौटने वाला अगला जहाज कब है। फिर सोचते थे कि कुछ दिन और रुक जाते हैं, यदि कुछ नहीं हुआ तो वापस चले जाएंगे। लेकिन इतनी कठिनाइयों के बाद भी उन्होंने स्वयं को कभी अकेला महसूस नहीं किया, क्योंकि उन्हें पूर्ण विश्वास था कि उनके गुरु महाराज का आशीर्वाद हमेशा उनके साथ है। इसलिए प्रभुपाद कभी भी विश्वास नहीं हारते थे। एक साल तक संघर्ष करने के पश्चात वह समय आने वाला था जब श्रील प्रभुपाद द्वारा यह कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन पूरे विश्व में फैलने वाला था। उन्होंने 1966 में न्यूयॉर्क के 26 सेकेंड एवेन्यू पर मैचलेस गिफ्ट्स नामक एक छोटे से स्टोर फ्रंट से इस आंदोलन की शुरुआत की, जो धीरे धीरे एक मंदिर में परिवर्तित हो गया, जहां वे नियमित रूप से भगवद गीता की कक्षाएं देते थे, हरि कृष्ण महामंत्र का कीर्तन कराते थे, अपनी पुस्तकों को स्वयं बेचते थे और हर रविवार लगभग 200 लोगों के लिए प्रसाद का आयोजन करते थे। और प्रतिदिन 15 से 20 लोगों के लिए भोजन स्वयं बनाते थे। अंत में बर्तन भी स्वयं साफ करते थे। इस शुद्ध भक्ति और सेवा भाव को देखकर अमेरिकी युवक युवतियां बड़ी संख्या में उनसे जुड़ने लगे। अब यह कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन जड़ पकड़ चुका था। फिर श्रील प्रभुपाद ने न्यूयॉर्क के टॉम्पकिंस स्क्वायर पार्क में एक पेड़ के नीचे कीर्तन शुरू किया, जहां वे छोटे सा टैम्बुरिन्स के साथ लगातार 3 घंटे तक हरि कृष्ण संकीर्तन करते थे। ये कीर्तन इतना प्रभावित कर गया कि देखते देखते अमेरिका की युवा और युवतियां भारी मात्रा में जुड़ने लगी। 13 जुलाई 1966 में प्रभुपाद ने इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी फॉर कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस इस्कॉन की स्थापना की। उन्नीस 1967 में भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद ने सैन फ्रांसिस्को में दूसरा केंद्र स्थापित किया, फिर लॉस एंजलिस, यूरोप, अफ्रीका, और ऐसे ही देखते देखते ये कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन पूरे विश्व में फैल गया। गुरु और कृष्ण पर अद्वितीय श्रद्धा का उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करके श्रील प्रभुपाद ने मानव समाज में इतिहास रच दिया। जब एक ज्योतिषी ने श्रील प्रभुपाद की कुंडली देखी तो वे कहते हैं, इस महापुरुष की कुंडली को कोई भी पढ़ नहीं सकता। इनके ग्रह पूर्ण रूप से अनुकूल स्थिति में है। ये सीधे भगवान की इच्छा के अनुसार कार्य कर रहे हैं, और जब ये लिखते हैं तो इनकी कलम में स्याही नहीं होती, इनकी कलम में अग्नि होती है, जो संपूर्ण संसार के अज्ञान को भस्म कर देगी।
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo Rama Rama Hare Hare
beautiful video, right? So that is a pure devotee of Krishna, spreading Krishna's glories and preaching people about Krishna. Okay, this is 18.70. Adhishate chaya imam dharmyam samvadam abhyayo jnanayagnena thaneham ishtasyan iti me matihi.
And I
And I
declare, go ahead, Mataji.
And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Another, I think it is one question which talks about or asks the question, what are the glories of teaching and the glories of studying Bhagavad Gita? So this is the second part. Glory of studying Bhagavad Gita is one who studies the sacred conversation of ours, worships me with his intelligence. Sacrifice of knowledge, which is Jnana Yajna. 1871. Shraddhavananasuyascha shrunyad api yo narahat sopi mukta shubhalokan prapnuyat punya karmanam.
And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So many benedictions, right? Where one who studies, one who teaches, and here one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Let's come to the next section. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is fixed and determined to act according to Krishna's instructions. So this is 72nd verse, 18.72. Kachid etat shrutam partha tvayekagrena chetasa kaschid ajnana samoha pranashtas te dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Now Krishna is asking Arjuna this question. And then Arjuna answers in 18.73. Arjuna uvacha nashto moha smritir labdha tvat prasadan mayachuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, the infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So my illusion is now gone, but prasadad, how? By your mercy. And I've regained my memory. I am now firm and free from doubt, prepared to act according to your instructions. So remember the 5 reasons what Arjun gave of not fighting. The 5th one was confusion. Here he himself is clearing that my confusion is gone and now I am firm and free from doubt. Okay, we're going to keep going. You can read these notes when later I share the recording. From 74 to 78 verses, Sanjay's prediction. Sanjay ecstatically thinks of the wondrous form of Krishna and predicts victory for Arjuna, the supreme archer, and Krishna, the master of all mystics. This is 18.74. Sanjay uvacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha samvadam imam ashrosham adbhutam romaharshanam. Sanjay said, Thus have I heard the conversation of the two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. 18.75 Vyasa Prasadat Shrutavan Etad Bhuyam Aham Param Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishnat Sakshat Kathyataha Swayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So Vyasdev wanted to give this vision to Dhritarashtra, his son, but Dhritarashtra said no. He said, give it to Sanjaya, because when my children are dying, I will not be able to see them. So thus over here in this verse, Sanjaya is saying, by the mercy of Vyasadev, I have heard the most confidential directly from Krishna. You can read these notes later on. 76th verse. Rajan samshritya samvadam imam adbhutam Keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha mahurmuhu. Somebody wants to unmute?
O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada says, anyone who becomes conversant with the topics of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous. He cannot forget such talks. That is, he attains full Krishna consciousness. And what is the result of Krishna consciousness? That he becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. 77th verse. Tacha samsmritya rupam atyadbhutam hare vismayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha punah punah.
O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I'm struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Hare Krishna.
It appears that Sanjaya also, by the grace of Vyasa, could see the universal form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna. It is, of course, said that Lord Krishna had never exhibited such form before. It was exhibited to Arjuna only. Yet some great devotees could also see the universal form of Krishna when it was shown to Arjuna, and Vyasa was one of them. He is one of the great devotees of the Lord, and he is considered to be a powerful incarnation of Krishna. Vyasa disclosed this to his disciple Sanjaya, who remembered that wonderful form of Krishna exhibited to Arjuna and enjoyed it repeatedly. The last verse, and also one of the verses which we will need to memorize. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuter Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of the mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be the opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. This is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it is said that Bhagavad Gita starts with dhar, right? Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, and it ends with mama. So dharma, half there and half here. The whole Bhagavad Gita combines into one scripture of dharma. Prabhupada gives a big purport. Let's read the notes from the presentation here. Arjuna's guaranteed victory on the battlefield. Dhritarashtra was hopeful for his son's victory, but Sanjaya is telling him not to expect victory as Krishna is there on the other side. Arjuna is fighting for Who? Yudhishthira. Sanjay predicting that Yudhishthira would win and flourish more and more because of being righteous, pious, and strict moralist, having never spoken a lie in his life. Krishna's opulence of renunciation as the charioteer for Arjuna. So all these reasons Prabhupada is giving and denoting or predicting how there will be, Sanjay's prediction of how there will be victory for the Pandavas. Path of regulative principles according to social order and different courses of religion may be confidential path. To realize oneself by philosophical speculation and meditation is more confidential, and surrender unto Krishna is most confidential. Okay, more notes, and this is a summary of the whole chapter in the sections. We can read later. Here is the end of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, and we have Balakrishna Prabhu's hand raised. Yes, Prabhu. You have to unmute, Prabhu.